escaping the shadows. I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is CeeChronicles and I post fragrance related content on this platform. So if you like that style of content and you're not yet subscribed, please do consider joining this family by subscribing. To those who are already subscribed, thank you so much for the continued support. Also take note that if you like Western fragrance reviews, I did split my channels into two. I have a second channel, CeeChronicles Unscripted, the link of which is going to be in the description. And on that channel, I focus on my life outside fragrances, which is a vlog, as well as Western fragrance reviews. Now, welcome to today's video. We have 2024's release from Lattafa in the name of Zanzibar. Now, this is the bottle and this is the box. Now, if you've been following the Lattafa journey, you will know that this bottle is not new. The juice is new, but the bottle has been kind of used a couple of times there. I think this is going to make the fifth or the sixth bottle, right? The first one was, of course, the Yara. But I'm just going to give you a close-up for those who have not seen the bottle before in the box. Now, I'm not going to spray the fragrance on my skin because I've been wearing this for about 7 hours now, and I think I like the dry down than I like the opening. So I'm going to spray this one in its box. But I'm going to be cross-referencing both my arm as well as the box. So this is Lattafa's ASAD Zanzibar, right? Now, this fragrance lists notes of lavender at the top there, some black pepper, followed by some coconut water, iris, salt, vanilla, and incense. It has a sharp opening, which is the reason why I decided not to respray it on the skin, because I'm going to be referencing both, the dry down as well as the initial opening of it. Now, the best way to describe the opening of this is going to be like a push and pull. Now, I'm going to give a silly example here. Imagine taking a baby to the doctor for a jab, okay? Now, you get to the doctor and the baby obviously gets the jab. But what these pediatricians usually do is they'll jab the baby, and while the baby is in shock, they will soothe the baby with sweets and toys and what. So the baby wants to cry, but they don't know whether, to cry or smile at the same time. Now, coming back to this fragrance and why I'm referencing this as an example is it gives you that sharp opening where, it's a black pepper there screaming together with an aromatic lavender and that iris, and it's like a pop there, a little bit of some incense, and you're like, ooh. And while you're going, ooh, then there is this dousing of the coconut that comes in there with a creamy weight, and you're like, is it aromatic or is it creamy? So there's going to be a lactonic presence that you're going to feel there almost immediately in the opening, like 5 minutes. There's a sharpness there while you're trying to get used to that sharpness and the aromaticness there, and a little bit of a not a heavyweight, but a very like an undertone incensiness. Then there is that coconut intro, and then as the coconut makes this intro there, it also carries like a vanillin tone to it. So there's going to be a sweetness happening there. Now, immediately what's going to come to mind is, this feels like a push and pull of a fragrance. First of all, it's not going to remind you of anything that Lattafa has given us, which is what I like about it, because it does feel unique in the sense that I cannot come here and reference a fragrance that they have given us before. But at the same time, it's like, wait a minute, are these notes really even doing a perfect dance together? Okay. But before, you think I'm slagging this fragrance, let me outright say it does have a dry down. If you can just be, patient enough to wait a little, right? Now, that the good thing about it is if you love lactonic fragrances, you are going to love this because the coconut is going to hold on through the end. However, the sharpness or the aromaticness does not leave this fragrance. Instead, that lavender transitions into like a medicinal, kind of like a camphorous feel there. So it's going to be no specific, I guess. I mean, if you're following what I'm saying here, that there you have yourself a herbal medicinal kind of kick, even camphorous feel of an aromatic lavender fusing with like a creamy, milky, to an extent santany feel. And then there is that salt note that comes into the mix, adding like a marine tone. So I can see, how the theme of this fragrance is indeed capturing that seaside feel of, Zanzibar. And I can see what they were going for. But it's one thing that is going to be dependent person to person as to how you feel about it, because that sweet and that sweet tone and the milky tone and the aromatic tone can give like a push and pull there of a sweet and sour feel. Some of you feeling as though though, you know, it kind of feels offish in how the milky tone interprets there of the coconut, and being a fragrance that just based on the bottle and thinking it's going to be fresh does not exactly come across as fresh, you know, so it doesn't align with the fragrances that I'll come here and say, oh, this is clean, this is fresh, in as much as it's bottled in a blue bottle. It's almost as if they were not going for the limpid, you know, feel of the water there, like the clear water. It kind of presents as though they were going for like a murky feel of water. And undoubtedly, sometimes, you know, the seaside feels like that, where the water does not exactly feel fresh per se. It's going to evoke the seaside memory, you know, yourself being at the side of the beach or the side of the sea, or, you know, a huge body of water, but it's not going to exactly come across as clean. You know, this is why I said not like a limpid presentation of that water, not like a transparent water, but it feels as though they were going for that murky feel of the water, especially when the salt note comes into the mix to add that ozonic, marini type of tone in this fragrance. So just by that, I'm going to say it's not safe to say this is a summer fragrance. It does, of course, give a tropical tone because of the coconut, but to class it as a fresh summery fragrance, maybe not. It doesn't even feel as though it's a fragrance I would say is safe to wear in the heat, because it is a heavyweight fragrance there, especially with that not so safe doses. You know, they did not go slow on the aromatic tone of this fragrance. So the lavender is quite piercing there. The black pepper is quite piercing there. The incense, not so much doing a smoky thing, but you can feel like an incensey weight. The other thing about it is it doesn't feel Middle Eastern. So if you're worried about me mentioning incense from time to time and thinking, oh, so it's going to be maybe like an incensey, Middle Eastern toned, spicy fragrance, it doesn't feel Middle Eastern. It just feels as though the perfumer was going for that body of water, and they gave that interpretation of the body of water in a bottle, and that is exactly how it feels like. However, it's going to have a push and pull where a lot of people are going to have mixed feelings about it. I have worn it on skin as well as sprayed it on a tester paper, and I can tell you that it's not a one size fits all. It kind of presents differently on a paper. It actually feels better than it does on the skin, but on the skin after a few hours there, it's divine. By this I mean when I sprayed it initially and I was trying to, you know, study it, I was like forced to pull my hand and stretch it out as far as I could, because it was doing a little too much. But after like the hour mark or so, it did not lose anything, but it just then ended up feeling as though everything is now then marrying together and kind of negotiating with each other to say, you know, come ye therefore, let us reason together, in the sense that the coconut is still there, that medicinal camphorous feel is still there, but not really doing a push and pull, almost like working together to say, okay, let us make this work. So it's a nice one. It's unique. I cannot compare it to what they have given us in the past, but it does have that coconut, guys. So if you like coconut toned fragrances, you're gonna love this. Or if you do not like coconut toned fragrances mixing with like a marine tone of a DNA there, then you're probably gonna not like this, because it's gonna maybe give you a shock like another thing is, and as much as it's blue, and a lot of people are going to have the mental shortcut that this is going to be masculine toned, I do get a unisex feel in this fragrance, albeit 70% masculine, in the sense that if you were to gift a man, they'll probably get it right away, but a woman will probably maybe need time to accustom to it. But the reason why I'm putting it at unisex is that vanilla and the coconut mix can easily be something that draws women in, okay? If you're not sure about the push and pull of the notes there, you know, the way they've decided to fuse the notes there, if you're not sure whether it's going to be safe enough, try to get yourself a decant heavyweight in terms of lasting power as well. In fact, it comes across as one that will be safe in even to wear in winter. You know, this is blue, but it does feel like a fragrance that can hold its own in cold weather, because it has a heavy concentration of the oil there. Also projects the most, so you are going to get compliments, guys, from ASAD Zanzibar. Okay, so if you love to smell fragrances like myself, you are not going to be shocked by this. I actually think they captured what they were going for, because when I was seeing the promo for this fragrance, I was just imagining like a fresh scent, and I was thinking, oh, so what's going to be different about this? But I can see, you know, that ozonic marine tone that they put into the fragrance to evoke that memory of, you know, the seaside or a huge body of water there, and making sure that it's not like a clean, fresh feel that you're going to get, but somewhat of how the sea in itself will hit your nose there. Okay, so if you've been in around, you know, the seaside, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean or feel as though the water interprets as just fresh all the time. Chronicles is my name. Thank you so much for joining me today. Oh, and when I did that, I just noticed that I'm actually matchy with the fragrance. This was not deliberate, guys. I'm only noticing it now myself. The DNA roundup in itself is gonna be favored by anybody who loves coconut fragrances, especially coconut fragrances mixing with like a salty tone there. The way Le Beau, you know, is done, but amp up the coconut times 3 in this. It's not a clone. It's not a clone of Le Beau, but I'm just saying, if you like the way Le Beau kind of feels like, then maybe you're gonna have a mental shortcut of what this is gonna feel like. But remember that it does have a camphorous weight to it there, an unapologetic aromatic weight to it there, but drying down divine. I like the way it dries down. Do remember to turn on post notifications, guys. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Like and share this one, and let's discuss in the comment section what you think about it. And remember, smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.